welcome back to another presentation of the Habs Locker Room Report with hockey coach, local franchise directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. On an amazing, great Wednesday night, February 7, 2024. And we are directly from Toronto, downtown in the caveman. We call him the legend. We call him Mr. Enortap, back in the house.
Hello, Coach. Hello, Hockey Nation. Great to
Welcome
be
back.
together again.
Yes,
Coach.
without Marco. Marco is on the road right now.
Yeah, he's got to join
Maybe
us very soon.
he go to Hawkesbury, to Ottawa. Who knows? But we wish him a safe trip. Hopefully, to
Yeah,
see him very soon. Marco
absolutely.
is another co-host of the Locker Room Report. A lot of subject to talk about, Mr. Enortap, tonight. I can wait to talk about the Montreal Canadiens after the W last night. Again, the Washington Capitals by the score of 5-2. Nick Suzuki, the captain, with 2 goals and 3 points. And of course, Juraj Slafkovsky scored for the first time of his career two multi-goal in the game with his 8 and 9 of the season. Caufield got 1 assist, so a total of 6 points for the first line. They really dominate again the Washington Capitals. Going to talk about the review of the game, a couple of things about the Montreal Canadiens, a couple of news, Mr. Enortap. And I'll maybe put some fire tonight in the chat, Mr. Enortap. And maybe for you
Oh,
also.
not
So
you, Coach.
I'm going to keep this until to the end, and we'll see what happens, Mr. Enortap. But I think it will create some kind of.
Friction.
They will
Conversation.
not like my last comments, but we'll see about
Uh-oh.
that. What happened, Mr. Enortap. Of course, before we start, we want to wish the best for Mikhail Sergachev. Got hurt again in New York Rangers. Really a bad situation for him. He was out of the eyes on the stretcher. Looked like a possible knee. Could be a problem for him. Hopefully, not going to be too much for him. We know he just came back from an injury. He
That's
missed
right.
17 games. He was left. He left December 19, I believe, and obviously come back in the game. He got hit by Alexis Lafreniere, but it looked like the back of his knee or something happening there. So we wish the
Yeah, it's
best
the way he fell.
for
It's the way he
Sergachev.
fell. It looks like he was delivering a hit, but Lafreniere sort of countered it. And the way he buckled under his knee, it didn't look very good. So we hope that everything's okay with him. He's a big part of that team, and if nothing else, you want to see teams going into the playoffs on a full, healthy roster and give their best, because it's best for all of hockey when you can put out your best team out there and challenge everybody else.
Absolutely about that. The good news, the mid call is better now. Many players have come back with injuries with no impact after that. So hopefully the best so far gets Sergachev, Markov, one of them, after many injuries, he came back stronger after that. So we'll see what happening. We wish the best. The same for Kirby Doc. Same situation, Mr. Tap. Let's see what we got in the chat, Mr. Tap. Before we start, we want to welcome Larry
Let's
Lavalley,
do it.
directly from Arizona, our friend Larry. He's on the preparation of the steakhouse barbecue on the grill, Mr. Tap. I can smell the potatoes with the asparagus right now cooking, Mr. Larry. So don't forget to sharing with the chat, everybody in the chat. They're all waiting. About that, in Halifax, Mr. Rick Bengal and Dimitra Bengal are back in the house directly from the Lake House, Mr. Tap. Welcome
Hey,
back,
Rick.
both of you. Thanks to be with our Canadian Live show. What about Luciano Graziano? Sit at home watching the Toronto Maple Leafs and tap again the Dallas Star. The last time I looked, it was 3-2. It is still 3-2. Beginning of the third period, Toronto came back at 3 goals. I think they have tonight all on the power play. And Matthew's score is 41 of the season, Mr. Enortap. That's what I got. I don't know if you want to add something else.
No, it's an interesting game. Toronto always plays Dallas well, I find. So it should be a very exciting third period there. We'll see how that ends off. And it's good to see Samsonov's playing a little bit better too. It's good for them. And the other game, the Rangers, very important game for them to stay on top there for the Rangers. We'll see how that one ends off. I think last time was what, 2-0? Last time I checked, or
It's 2-1
against
now.
Tampa Bay. Oh, 2-1. Okay.
2-1. They just scored Tampa Bay like they look like they are back now. A little bit better. Kisharov almost scored second tie of the game for that one over there. Cameron, go Abs is in the house. Mr. Enortap. Welcome back, Cameron. Thanks to both talking issue live show.
Welcome.
On the fit in the post, money in area, that's pretty good. Yes, 1-1. Marco Larabee, apologize, Mr. Enortap. He's on the road, but we understand. Some rumor, Mr. Tap, is on the direction to Vegas to go to Super Bowl.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know.
Go, Michael, go.
I heard like they have a new, yeah, it's not breaking news. It's not confirmed yet. I'm just wait for a while, Joe, to let me know. But it looked like Danny got hired by Taylor Swift on the bodyguard and Vegas on the weekend. So Danny will be out for a couple of nights, Mr. Tap. He's going to be in charge of Taylor Swift for the next couple of nights.
I wish I could say she's in good hands. She's in hands, but I don't know if they're good hands. We'll wait and see.
The bad news, yeah, no Mandarin over there in the biggest Mr. Tap, but I think he will fight for you or something else at the end of the night. Can you imagine Danny walking at 2 o'clock in the morning looking for a buffet? Good news for him in Vegas, they are open the buffet late, Mr. Tap, so he'll be fine.
24 hours.
The question is, do you think at 2 o'clock a.m. he's looking for a late buffet or a breakfast buffet?
Oh, he's looking for a late buffet for
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with those shrimps on the side and the ribeye steaks and
We're going to see. We're going to ask him about the next couple of days. So now that Zeb Lecab is in the house. Welcome back, Zeb.
hey,
Thanks for being
Zeph.
with our Canadian Live Show. Followed by our friend Steve G from Denver downtown. Colorado Avalanche. Mr. Tap, only 1 point the last two games for the Colorado. Not a good trip in New York, unfortunately for them. But hopefully they're going back a little bit better in the next
They
couple of
played a
weeks.
good game though.
Yeah,
They
it
played
was
a very
great
good game
entertaining
though.
game, by the way.
Yeah.
McKinnon
But Vegas,
is on the great become the
Ve-
MVP in the league, I believe. You have no one. I feel like he's the McDavid of last season right now.
yeah, I would
McKinnon.
agree. He seems possessed this year, but you know what? Yesterday, Vegas showed that they're still the champions until they're not. So good on them against the Oilers. That was a big game, I thought. Even though the Oilers, I think, carried most of the play, and we saw that defense that we talked about. Very physical game from the defense. They didn't allow Edmonton much. It's going to be an interesting playoff when that starts.
It's hard to dominate 17 game like this, like 16 game. And,
Yeah,
at some point, every 6, 7 game, usually you have a go down. Some game they should
yeah,
not win, they win. All us, not to give, we have to respect for what they accomplished for sure. But you can feel the last couple of game. They will they took everything to win those W. And congratulations, anyway, 16 is not bad at all. And then,
it's amazing.
uh, you know, the only, people asking me, what do you tell them after the game? But we have to restart next game to start another straight.
16 games.
That's all. We cannot stop on that one over there and to be discouraged about that. If you give
No,
everything, I think that the players like this, like last night, disappointed about the outcome, but put their head up because they try everything they can. And the biggest at the end, that
yeah,
was they have the best of the game.
and you have to give Aiden Hill credit because I thought, he really played well and sort of took that game away from Edmonton until they were ready to respond. Beautiful game. I liked it all the way around, both teams.
It'll be interesting if sometime the game after that for Vegas. I would love to see the outcome of that game because they want to stop the Edmonton. It was the Stanley Cup for them right now last night, right? Can they consist that way? Can they change the momentum without Jack Eichel to figure out that? We'll see the next game. And the Edmonton say, you know what? It's a one game we lost. Let's make another run and see what happening with that. But the Pacific Division with Vancouver, really interesting until the end of the year. Luc Fortin is in the house. Mr.
Absolutely.
Tap, welcome back, Lucky. Thanks,
Welcome,
Mr.
Luke.
Bourne. Welcome, Mr. One. The Habs is in the house. Slav has got that swagger. Patrick Leblanc is back in the house, Mr. Enortap. A little bit bet tonight. To beat the Hawks by 2 goals or more. 2.5 the money. Yeah, it's a good one,
That's
Patrick.
a
I
good
think
one.
Chicago
That's a
can
good one.
score a goal. I think Patrick est on the right direction. Nicolas de Gauby-Bonneau, dans la région de Sherbrooke, dans la belle province de Québec. Il est de retour avec nous. And from Ontario, sit on his Polaris, wait for more snow. Mr. William McClary, back in the house, Mr. William. Thanks again to be with us.
Hey,
Uh,
William.
Bedard said he returned February 19th, first week in March.
Yeah, it's still a little ways away. So
Yeah. John Garage, welcome back in the house. John, thanks to be with our Canadian show. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. We try to get everybody have something else. Can hit the shrimp with Steve about Danny. Jordan, great video you make about Slafkovsky last game. Can you come, Jordan? Kind of for to say that to you.
great.
To
Was
think they
very good.
start off to poorly, they can quiet all the hater. Two, they don't need another Boston situation leading the league and the wish the win, but out in the first round. Others need to keep it going. Jordan, Edmonton will be interesting to see that Gary Conway back in the house, left the truck UPS in the driveway, Mr. Tap, and that's it
Hey,
until the next
Gary.
morning. Hopefully, he's not going to wake up with cold weather. Pierre Martin back in the house, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, welcome back in the house.
Pierre.
There we go. Always a pleasure having him around the Hockey Nation
Absolutely.
about that. Here we go, Mr. Tap. The Mexican restaurant today. Here we go from Larry Lavalley.
Hey, Larry.
Then Cameron said the future of the Canadiens could be announced next week. Cross you forgot they go to Quebec, Mr. Tap. Quebec, Salt Lake City, or St. Arizona. Coyotes.
Doesn't look good for Arizona. I'll be honest with you. I mean, we could be looking. Yeah, I think it's in the States. I really don't see it unless they expand to 4 additional expansion teams in the future. I don't see it coming back to Quebec at this moment.
Yeah, I think Utah is the right direction for them right now. I feel that would be that way. Uh,
Yeah.
but we'll see uh, for that. Pierre Martin said, Coach, just so you know, Pesada did take the face off on his goal. That's the reason he lost the face off. That's true. That's true.
Did he? Did he? I thought he won that face off.
I'm sorry.
I thought he won that face off.
I don't know. He said he was
I don't
on the face off. So I said, if it's him, he lost the face off because the puck goes straight in the corner, I believe, and then RHP jumped right
Set
away
him up.
there to recover the puck and pass to Pesada
Yeah.
for that one.
Nice goal.
Yeah,
Nice goal.
that confusing everything because nobody watched Pesada after the face off. So, but we'll see what happening about this. Mr. Tap only 3 games in NHL tonight. 2 in action. We're now Rangers 2-1 with 7:35 to go remaining, about 7 minutes to go. And at Toronto, I think it was 3-2.
3-2. Yeah.
Again, 11:10 to go. 9:30 tonight, the Wall against the Chicago Blackhawks. And we'll see. This is not a very important game, but the last tonight, Mr. Tap, all the best team won, lost their game, most of them, and then the lower team or the team and the wild card won their game. So, very interesting standing, and then I'm going to see this at the end of the show, Mr. Tap. Don't worry, no problem, Luciano. When we don't talk about baseball, when they win. When they win, we were very quiet. We just let this play by themselves.
Come on, Luciano. We'll talk about it anytime. We're not
Uh,
afraid.
no, and after he lost the face-off, Pesada Pierre Martin
Oh,
confirmed.
did he? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Alger Calabro gave us some update, and then GSM back in the house. Vegas was without one with Eichel, Theodore, Upton, Carrier. The others should avoid Vegas because Vegas don't fear them in the series. About that,
That's true. That's true.
yeah, of course. For this, I agree with you. AK is in the house. I think the last couple of years, Edmonton was more fear about Calgary, Vegas at the end of the night. But again, uh, every division is on top. Maybe the Metropolitan, only one there. Otherwise,
Yeah,
Everybody want to finish first and the division
in their
because it's
division. Yeah,
number two, number three is going to be a war everywhere, every
that's
one
right.
of them. So
Well, for Edmonton, I think the key there is it's going to be the battle against LA. You want to avoid having to play a top team like Vegas in the first round. So if they can finish second or third, that'd be ideal for Edmonton, I think.
yeah, we'll see what happening about that. But Mr. Nata, we're going to start the show where we're at the beginning of the show. We always do the same thing. And we do the headlines. We're going to go through the
Yeah,
headlines with you, Mr. Nata. Let's see what we got for everybody. But before that, Mr. Nata, let's talking about the subject of the night. I forgot about this, first of all. So the subject of the night, guys, is the future with Caufield and Juraj Slafkovsky. We're going to talk about them the next couple of minutes. And tonight, if you follow my video today, Montreal Canadiens won for the score 5-2, Slafkovsky to goal. But I gave another area where Slafkovsky improved his game a little bit like Cole Caulfield. So you have a chance watching this video. Stop by and watch all the video. French Internet video is going to be out tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mr. Enortap. But the headline of the
absolutely.
night, Mr. Enortap, we're going to start with you and what we got for everybody. And the first one is this one.
One night, and this sort of goes hand in hand with what you were just talking about, Coach. And I sort of was thinking about some of the words that Kent Hughes was saying when he had his media report conference afterwards after trading Monahan, and obviously the question about his leadership, his contributions to the team, and everything he brought to the team. The question was posed to him in terms of what's that doing to your team now, and are you sort of throwing in the towel? And I thought he was very creative in terms of how he approached the answer to that. He was optimistic about the fact that we're building something here, and it's something that he feels is moving along relatively well. Of course, you're always going to have blimps in your progression, but overall, I think we're starting to see some of the fruit of that coming to fruition. And he said this is an opportunity for players to really step up. You can't. Yes, we're losing somebody. Yes, they're human beings, and of course, they're going to miss somebody that they forged a close relationship and friendship with together. Even with the family sometimes. But at the end of the day, you have to, as we were saying last time, you have to keep the big picture in mind, and that is we've built to a stage now where this is going to provide an opportunity for some of the young guns, as we see there in the picture, to really step up and not lose sight of the fact that they're moving towards something bigger. And I'm talking about guys like Suzuki, obviously, and Gignac, who came up, Caufield, Slafkovsky, Gouli. You can go on and on with those. It's part of, as he explained it, it's part of the process of a group that is maturing together and growing together. Uh, that they have to take at this stage. They can't think, okay, look, our middle here in terms of centerman consists right now of Suzuki, Evans, Gignac, and Condota, which I wouldn't describe as murderer's row or anything like that, but they have to take ownership of their future and of their team, right? The young kids do, and that's sort of what we saw in this game. That's why I put a question mark at the end of the one night, because eventually I'm going to come to the conclusion: was this just one night, or is it? And it looks good moving forward, or is it something that is not sustainable? And I think both answers can be correct. Obviously, when you remove talent from your lineup of Monahan's caliber, and let's face it, there might be some more moves that come down the wire soon before the trade deadline time, and so that could really affect a team. But as Hughes said, his hope and aspiration is that these young players take ownership of their own development at this stage, and this is their team. They own it. It's an opportunity now to, not be followers, but to be leaders, and that's what we really want to see here. And yesterday was a perfect example of that. We saw, the first line. Suzuki 2 goals, Slafkovsky 2 goals. Caufield had an assist. They were on top of things. They were jumping all night. They were creating opportunities. They were playing an entire complete game from what we saw. You look at Montebo, who's part of that future as well, and in the second period when it looked a bit bleak for Montreal because Washington was taking over, he did his job and he kept the team ahead in the game, and until they scored that third goal, and then from there it was a little bit more comfortable moving forward. So, I'll end it with that because the encouraging part we did see, and we did see a group of young individuals that are developing in the right direction. Um, but it's something that they're going to have to continue, and that's the hard part, right? Because as I said before, you could still lose some players due to injuries. You could lose some players due to trades, and you have to look beyond that. And that's what creates character in these players and in the organization, and it gives them an identity as they move forward.
Yeah. So anytime it's on time, you're talking. T'as donné à score un penalty shot, and then Marner come back, score another lead, or back lead by one goal. A lot of great
4-3.
comments there, Mr. Tap. You bring on the table for the Montreal Canadiens. Um, you know, your expression one night, I will say to you, few nights. I don't see much about the same
Yeah,
result they did yesterday. But on the flip side, it's the subject of the day is called the future, and you saw last night that could become one of the best line in NHL in the next 3 years, maybe 4 years, when they're going to reach the best the ceiling in NHL. So it's really interesting. I like what we saw yesterday, guys. The way Suzuki come back and the Toronto score under the goal, Mr. Tap, back to back. Nylander again score second goal of the night, 5-3.
nice.
That's it. That's all for Toronto Maple Leaf. Anyhow, um, for Montreal Canadiens, like you said, the time will tell us what they're going to develop their players, but patience is still behind everything, right?
Absolutely.
And I,
It's
I think
patience and their own development. I can't stress that enough. If the talent is lacking, um, that's something that comes with time, right? They're obviously they're going to get some key players back, maybe not, if not this year, next year. So that they're part of the team. They're going to draft. They have already a couple good picks that they're going to have. And they have a lot of prospects that are making their ways up to the team. So these guys have to be the leaders for tomorrow's younger kids.
but at the end of the day, Mr. Tap, when you said one night, um, 90% of people last night in the chat, although in fact I think 82, maybe one or two more, expect Montreal to lose last night. And if you look about their lineup compared to Washington Capitals lineup, skill wise on paper, Washington are better. And you can blame Martin Saint Louis, whatever you blame him, right? And but he find a way, whatever who leave the building, whoever's coming in the building, he keep play the team the same way all the time. Gignac fit well last night. Last year, remember like how many times RHP perform after they left. They lost a couple of players, Caufield, Doc. It was not perfect, but it still show as a team. It's more important the system at only one specific players. And I think for me, this is the reason where I feel like it's going to be the first show is going to be good for the Montreal Canadiens, and then yes, it's going to be a rough time in the next couple of weeks and couple of months,
Absolutely.
right? Because we
They
don't
have
have
a
enough skill talent. But I
I
think they
think they
can
have the
compete.
fourth worst strength of schedule going down the last 30 games. So yeah, you're right. They're good. We're going to see more losses than wins, without a doubt. But it's again, I emphasize it's these younger players that have to come into their own. They have to establish their own identity, coach, and I think that that's the key. It isn't. Oh, is Caufield going to put up 50 goals? Is Suzuki going to get 80 points? That you can start questioning as they get older and as you have reinforcements on the team. But right now, it's have they improved in certain areas of their own personal game? Like I'm personally liking what I'm seeing in Caulfield. He's become a more well-rounded player this year. He seems to be he's skating very well. He's starting to back check a lot better. We're Slafkovsky the same thing, and those to me are the ingredients that make a good organization and a good team.
Well said, well done, Mr. Enortap. Let's move on for my headlines of the night, Mr. Enortap. 2 more years, Mr. Enortap,
For playoffs,
for the Montreal rebuilding. So the question of the day is going to be out, or the night is going to be out the next 30 minutes, Mr. Enortap. My question is about what is your anticipation of the end of the rebuilding for Montreal Canadiens? How long they're going to be, they're going to say, okay, the rebuilding is over. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. That will be. This is the question we have. How many years do you believe the Montreal will be? Say, okay, this is the time now. The rebuilding is behind us.
it's hard to say, coach, because there's so many variables in works that could affect the whole rebuild process. Like they still have contracts that they need to clear out. I mean that's you have to clean house before you can invite anybody over, right? And so that's one area that alone will probably take 1 or 2 more years, depending on the contracts that they have, or if they get a trade going. Then it's about development. We've drafted some good players even from the previous regime. They drafted some players that are slowly starting to come to the forefront, and we're seeing good signs wherever they're playing, whether it's in Laval, whether it's in the OHL or wherever else abroad in Europe. We're seeing good signs, but we don't know how that's going to relate once they get to the NHL level at the pros. Hopefully, is that they continue to build on that and they become simulated to the team right away, and we see success. But it doesn't always go that way. Injuries, we've talked about that numerously in the past. All these things come together, and in the end, you can plan. There isn't a book. If there was just a book that said, here's how a rebuild is supposed to take place, here are the things you do, and we guarantee you in 5 years, not only are you a playoff team, but you're a contender for a Stanley Cup. If that were the case, then every year we would see different teams jostling to get into the playoffs, but we don't see that. So you're right. It could be 2 more years before we are smelling a playoff spot. But I would also venture to say it's not going to happen, I don't believe, but there's the outside possibility that even in 2 years, they could be even challenging, depending on how they draft and how these players develop. So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah, absolutely right about this. When I said 2 more years, what am I point behind that, Mr. Taps, is about, okay, to become the team of what Jeff Gordon and Ken Hughes are thinking to have for Martin St. Louis. Martin St. Louis have 1 more year to with his final contract, right, next year. Is they going to sign him another 3 or 5 years with the Montreal Canadiens as a head coach? I can give you already the primer. Then go and say, Coach, you already knew that. You're going to see that during the summer. Then I would say to you, Mr. Tap, Montreal 2 more years. Why? You still have, like you said, many contracts to liquid. The Devorak, the Armia, the Savard, the Jake Allen,
Gallagher.
you know, Jake Evans, everything like that. You have approximately 10 players right now in the roster injury and no injury, are going to be with Montreal in the next 2 years. Otherwise, you're going
Yeah.
to get now new players. With that, you're going to see the starting the fruit of the picks they did last year, the 2 years ago. Sakoski, Hudson, Beck, example. This year you have Rebecca Fuller. Those two drafts are going to knock the door and the season 25 and 26. So for me,
Hmm.
2 years. For that moment, this is where I believe now they can push back the rebuild behind them. When I said that, not because you're not rebuilding anymore. My point behind that is the next 2 years is going to see a transformation about how they're going to bring players now, not from the inside of the draft, but more outside of the organization. It could be via trade. It could be via UFA example. And that would be for me season 2025, 2026. And that's the reason I said 2 more years. This is where this is the step two of where we expect for the team. I don't know, would be when I said 2 more years, not to make the promise on that, but really to be the team of what have a vision Ken Hughes, Jeff Gordon, and Martin Saint Louis. And that's the reason I call this the 2 more years. So for the Montreal Canadiens fans, when you blame Caufield, Sakoski, Martin Saint Louis, everybody, don't go that way. Just be patient. Just let it go
Yeah.
and see what they're going to
Absolutely.
reach the ceiling, everything like that. So I don't know if you want to add something else there.
No, you put that very well. You're right. We got to be patient. They're going to make mistakes. That's part of the growing pains that you have to go through as an organization. But the hope and aspiration is that you get to a point where those are minimized as the years go on, and you become more of a, a pro. Let's put it that way. I don't want to use words like elite players because not all of them will be elite to our definition.
Yeah, absolutely about that. A lot of great comments, guys, in the chat. We appreciate a lot. Welcome the new people in the chat. And then we appreciate a lot. I will try to pick it up a little bit higher on the center tab. We're going to move back at what we're supposed to do because we want to click those, click on the video. Mr.
Yeah.
Tap, let's go back here. Because you have a couple of questions. Some people talk about Carlson and Letank. 1-1, Sarkozy won't be good, but something like yoga. Yeah. The first question, Mr. Tap, it comes from Luke. Go, Abs, go. Is it better to have a winning culture for the rest of the years or losing more to have a better pick?
I don't see why those two things have to be separate. Like you could be playing very well. I think it's imperative that you have a winning culture. You can't go into these games, and they're professionals. They're not going to go out there and they're going to tank. Like their own as players, coach their own playoffs, or sorry, not playoffs, but their own contracts are contingent upon that. If they want a payday one day, like they always have to perform to the best of their ability, and they're professionals, and they will. But having said that, as you said earlier, do we have that amount of talent that we should be winning on a nightly basis? No, right now, no. And as like you said, we got rid of Monahan. There might be a couple of other guys going. As that happens, that's what they call an organic tanking. It isn't something that you do purposely. It's just something that happens because you're taking tools away from the coach. You're taking, key pieces away from the team, coupled with the injuries. And the idea is to lose, but be in every game. Like you have to really put the effort in because that's critical to your moving forward in the future.
Well said about that, Mr. Enortap. I think for me, it's not a matter of losing and winning when you are what they are right now at this like tonight example,
Yeah.
because the most important thing, Mr. Tap, is how Martin Saint Louis carry on the team with enthusiasm, energy, and give them small victories until then. If the team go down like seven, like I don't know, like 10-9 lost back to back, it's hard. But the way they manage everything, they really pay attention. They build a culture. Players are smart, Mr. Tap. They are. smart. Don't need to be, to don't think they know the standing. They know who they are. They know what time to team they have, and they know the goal of Montreal Canadiens. They all know that. So for me, it's not about losing. It's hurt them. It's just the way they go through the process to build that culture at the end. So with
Absolutely.
positive message behind how you care about them, how you show them you really there for them, and how you're going to be there all the time behind them. A guy have a really a slum example. You're going to take a time to talk with the player, sit with him, explain to him everything like that, and that's you go through those kind of adversity challenge to become the better team overall, Mr. Tap, at long term. Patrick
Yeah,
talked about that
exactly.
enough. Um, Mr. Enortap, is it chemistry or skill for the top line?
Well, I mean, the skill has to always be there. But the chemistry is important too. You have to sort of have a good read of each other, where one player is going to be, the other one obviously likes to receive pass in a certain place. They have to establish a chemistry as well. Now, a lot of times you'll see sometimes it's a pairing. It isn't necessarily the entire line coach. All three have to always click. It's preferable if all three of them are on the same page, but sometimes there's a lot of twosomes that duos that perform very very well, and you think of like a McKinnon and Ratnan, Eichel and Stone, and you can go down the list on every team. It's like that, Marner and Matthews, and so that chemistry has to be there. But the chemistry is, look at a fourth line. A fourth line could have chemistry, but the skill level is not as good as, let's say, people that are on the players that are on the first line. It's harder to score, to execute when you get an opportunity. So it's a combination of both.
Well said, Mr. Enortap. Can add 5-4-5 with 27 to go. Remaining, Mr. Enortap, on this game, Toronto and the Star. The Tampa Bay last 3-1, Mr. Enortap. So a W Toronto last in Tampa, getting closer on that one. So we have a question from Roy asking you about what's good pick for the Montreal Canadiens and the defense AV draft. What is a good pick for the Montreal Canadiens?
For the draft this year,
Yeah,
well, ideally, I mean, our area of need is forward, right? I think that we've established a good core of defensemen. But the problem is this: depending on where we select, it might just fall at a point where, the best pick, and we should always go for the best pick rather than our need. The best pick might just turn out to be a defenseman. And I said that, if we finish around fifth or sixth, a defenseman could easily fall into that spot, because in the top 10, from what I'm seeing, at least up to now, things will still change with the rankings. But it looks like half of them are going to be solid defensemen and half of them are going to be forwards. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. But if they have to make a decision, you always go with the best player available at that time. And then you worry about how you manage that asset later on. They could always be, packaged together to address forward needs during the year.
yeah, I'm sorry about that one there. Welcome back, Live Devo. Thanks to be with us tonight. We appreciate a lot. Sharks knock the door. Final score, Mr. Tap, Toronto 5, Dallas Store 4. About this,
Good
Luke
win for the
said,
Leafs.
Luke said we need to be lucky and win the lottery. We should not sell
That
it.
would
They
help.
won't. They have to sell anyway. Jordan said 4 years. 11 maisons et bec arrive. We'll be also that about this one over there. William, as long as the Habs stay in the top 14 of the upcoming draft, hopefully top 5, because this draft drop off translate back after the one first round pick for that.
That's
Luke said
absolutely
the
right.
rebuilding his team is never over.
That's true too. I wouldn't use the word rebuilding, because after a while, it's more like how are you retooling, and keeping the team sustained like that. That's when you're then balancing incoming players and making sure that you got some good prospects in line. You can never bare your cupboards until you figure, you know what, uh, we have a legitimate shot at the Stanley Cup this year. We're one piece away, and you might have to mortgage, a couple of prospects or a pick and a prospect in order to get to that added player that you need to get over the top, right? So, um, I would agree that it's a continual process. You don't just build once and that's it. It's something that you have to constantly add to and amend on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I would not say that way. It's like the rebuilding. I think at some point you stop the
Yeah.
rebuilding and you more asset. I will give you an example, Mr. Tap. The Tampa Bay Lightning rebuild. They add Sankos, Edmund, they drafted Kucherov, Vasilevsky, and all those kind of players. Then after that, what they did when they reached that level of finish the rebuilding, they add asset. When they become a team, go to the playoff, they trade at the trade deadline. Coleman, Goodrow. You can get after that Nick Paul and following by Tanner Janot. So they're not rebuilding. They just add more asset on where they at. So the word rebuilding is the behind the pass or anything like that. Now, the next 3 4 years, you have a wheel in hockey. Every 10 years, 12 years, you rebuild at some point. But I don't think so. You would be right to say rebuilding every time or every year because at the end of
No,
the day, I don't see
it's the
Colorado
wrong word.
rebuild right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. It's not
they
the right.
add asset.
Yeah, manage their assets.
Yeah, absolutely about that. There are people in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Frederic Willett is in the house. Going forward, they would push to make the playoff. At least they have a lot of injury. We can argue that will Dak and you hook. They will at the end of World Cup level play more Mandabo and keep Monahan. Luke said that next year you have to play over 500. You know,
Well,
I'm
they're almost there. They're almost there right now. you know,
yeah.
um, in
But
today's
Mr. Tab, I
NHL,
have a
anyways.
question for you. Follow that comments.
Yeah.
A team NHL 500 is not good anymore.
No, no.
Does it make sense?
It's
Like you
also
can get 500 and to be like, look, the Washington Capitals, right? They still play for 500. Or Montreal play for 500, but both of them are the seventh and their own division, and they are the bottom 10 and then NHL.
yeah, no, absolutely. You need to be sustaining a better record than aiming just for 500. And
You
it's
have to be
it's the
Mr.
way it's
Tap
set up.
85
It's the way it's set
minimum
up.
and 88.
Yeah, it's the way the not only the points, but the way that we look at 500. We're looking at wins and losses, but technically, those games you lose in overtime in a shootout, those count as losses as well. So when we see Montreal, for example, if they're, just for argument's sake, let's say they're 18-4, well, they're really 18-22, and that puts it a little bit more in perspective. Yeah, you got 4 extra points because of the overtime, but we like to call those loser points, right?
Yeah. Patrick Lebien said since 1719. Patrick, remember, Montreal never announced until February 2022 are going to be a rebuilding team. That's the difference between rebuilding completely and the team try to stay in the race of the standing in NHL. Patrick, I should say,
And
well, great, William. Definitely right on that point, Coach Zeph. It take 4 or 5 years to recap. Maybe rip the full reward or your draft pick and the Canadian Junior USA. Great point about that one over there.
yeah,
Um, Zeph, Hughes need to pull another rabbit out of the draft this year to get a top six players. Mr. Enortap.
it would be nice. I hope we can do it. I think it depends on how desperate I guess some teams get at the trade deadline time. Like, we would not like to move somebody like Savard, but sometimes you have to be realistic, right? Like you have to say, right now he's his value is probably at the highest it will ever be, and he also comes with an extra year of control next year for some team. So, and you can, even if you had to, you can even retain a little bit of that contract. And if it gets you a great return, why not explore that? And there's one option, but there's many ways to skin a cat.
Yep, sorry about that. Gary talked about Slafkovsky is a confident person and mature. About that, they went back and forth with the sending. What applied to the players should apply to the management. Also, use putting a little like this is riskless. I don't think so, Patrick, about that. Both of the Slav situation, special awareness has improved. GSM total one game, but they are bad defensively. Allow 4 or 5 game goal almost every game. Uh, uh, Absolutely about this one there. Dallas score 5-4, Roy. We're talking about dropping game, putting bad lineup and place on purpose because Molson and the Ab now their team is a cash cow. They don't care about delivery, a bad project. Completely disagree with you, Patrick.
Yeah, me too.
Completely disagree with you, Patrick, about that one over there. They don't put a bad lineup in place on purpose. This is what they have right now. That because they decide to rebuild. Now it's up to you if you don't want to accept the rebuild. You can turn around to watching the soccer or the WWE if you want to. But this is the commitment that Molson did 2 years ago to hire the management and give them everything they need to rebuild that team. And he know it would take about 5 years. So they know the process will be long. They know the process will be hard. And they know sometimes the team not going to be very good. But this is what it takes to go through the process, Patrick. So when you accuse them, I think it's not fair. It's not right because this is what they told you February 2022, straight at the press conference when Molson, Hughes, and Colin was sit together, tell you we are rebuilding. That's it. That's all. That's what they told you. And sometimes that's happening like what they have right now. They don't do this like any moment. They do this at purpose to go and to drop everything to say, you know what, we don't really care, or we just make money cash. Can you they take any money cash? Can use function with a professionalism behind his resume as an agent. He consists to performing the same way as a professionalism and the general manager. If you really know Ken Hughes, he's built to give the best of everything happening around his career. Now he's trying to be a good general manager, Mr. Enortap. So for me, when you said they do this on purpose, they don't really care about the fans and they don't really care about tanking. This is completely, I completely disagree with you about this with him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. I mean, especially Molson. I think I mean, he had a good friendship with the previous GM, and it was a hard decision for him to let him go. But he saw that there were things in place that were not going to be good for the organization in the long run. And I think
Yeah,
when he took over this organization, like it's something that's also in the family, that was in the family at one point before Gillette took over. And I think he wants to see success for the organization. Yes, of course, they all owners want to make money. That goes without say. But I you'd be hard pressed to find some owners that just want to do it for the sake of just the money. If they can get championships, that's another feather in their cap.
yeah, I'm sorry about that one over there, Mr. Enortap. Who do you see as a surprise coming out of the Eastern Conference, Mr. Enortap?
Um, it's going to be tight. Like it all depends. Like right now, I think the two teams that could be on the way down. I think, although yesterday they scored a nice victory. I think Philadelphia's a little bit with a question mark, especially now without Hart. So I don't know if they'll be able to sustain a playoffs position. The other team, just because they haven't shown it yet on a consistent basis, is Detroit. Um, and so that to me opens up two spots. Who are the two teams that might jump into those spots? I mean, you can make an argument for New Jersey. You can make an argument for both Pittsburgh and the Islanders. I think they're all valid. It's going to come down to, who puts it together towards the end, and there's going to be critical games that they play head to head, and that will determine. Like last year, it went right down to the wire. Pittsburgh had their destiny in their own hands, and they lost to Chicago, and that put them out of playoff position, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry about that. A quick answer for me: Detroit Red Wings on top because I tried to look about team I wasn't expect to be in the playoff
Yeah.
this season, and I think for me
Well,
that's the one for
Philadelphia
that
too,
part.
right?
Yeah, but I feel if Philadelphia not going to hanging there all the way. I
No,
think they're going
no.
to get the trade deadline is coming, and Daniel Bria have to take a decision what he's going to do with Walker, with Longton, and then you have another UFA. I cannot remember. I think he have to figure out that, and that would put maybe Flowers out of the picture. On the flip side, the most disappointed team, I believe, other fact Ottawa does not
New
perform the
Jersey.
level I was expect. Is honestly the Devils. The
Yeah,
Devils for me was at the top best team in the division, the Metro Division with Carolina and the Rangers, and they are far to be there. Not said that they're not going to not make the playoff, but they are a disappointed team, Mr. Enortap, so far. Here we go, Mr. Enortap.
yeah.
Your first trade of the night, yes or no? The Montreal Canadiens trade the 7th overall pick at Albert Jekai for the 4th or the 5th overall pick.
They trade their seventh overall and Jack Eye. I don't know why we want to give up on Jack Eye. Like honestly, uh, I don't want to open up a can of worms, but for the fourth and the fifth. I don't think there's a huge difference between fourth,
That's
fifth, and seventh right now. And I don't want to give up on somebody like Jack Eye right now.
I think for me, I would say to you the right answer. You got it when you said yeah, not many difference between the number 7 and 5th and the overall pick, or maybe 4. It's not good enough. Last year, Mr. Tap, I would consider maybe to trade my 5th to get number 2 or 3 with a specific players because he was its
Yeah,
friend on the
really.
forward for that. But after you hit Celebrini out at the end of the defenseman, Lechenov, I believe after that you have a drop already, tier 2 on the forward and the defenseman overall. So I will
Yeah,
not get there. It's not about Jekai, by the way. It's just you can put any players with that 7th overall pick, Mr. That will not change my answer.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So I'll see Patrick talk about cannot less she said what he really think about Lausanne. About that, here we go. Um, but I feel a big trade is coming because they have more pick. They will sign Mr. Top. They expect a trade that way. I think the way he talk
Between
abs born, I feel a big trade is coming because they have more picks because they will sign. I think for that way, they have to think more about summer Mr. Tap, not at the trade deadline, the way Born is talking about.
yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. If they can accumulate and get another first, either it would have to come through uh, somebody like Savard, maybe. And even that, I'm not sure you'll get a first. It would have to be a team that's very desperate to get a first from Savard. If you can get another one, then that gives you leverage at the during the summer. You're right, Coach. You have 3 first round picks. You have I think 3 seconds, so you could really move picks up or down, or get a prospect from another team.
I'm sorry again. I'm sorry, I was reading
Yeah, no, I
something.
was just saying that if they can acquire that first, another first, if the right deal comes along, and that's the only way I would do it,
Yeah.
then what it does is it gives Hughes leverage during the summer to now bundle a couple of picks or even 3 picks to get a very high pick, or even a very good prospect that's NHL ready at that point.
Here's the point, Mr. Tap, about that. I think Montreal Canadiens does not have enough players established in NHL to show to other team in NHL their ceiling. So, example, when they trade Romanov, Romanov, he was already show some expectation in NHL, right? He was play over 100 game and he was looking good and he gave confidence to the Washington, to the Islanders to sign him. Agree with me?
Yeah.
So for me right now, Montreal, other the fact Cooley, Caden Cooley, they don't have any other defenseman they can trade right now. Said, you know what, that player is going to be that level to get a good prospect or to drop a pick all the way to 10, 11, 12, 13 to give a team, say, you know what, we can trade to give to get that player plus maybe the first one pick of the Montreal later to leave our 13, 14 out for Montreal Canadiens. Montreal doesn't have that player. And 2, 3 years, Minnesota, you're going to see what Rebecca, Mayu, Jekai, Angstrom, Hudson, Strobel, what they look like. And then you can take that players and make a good trade and to get a prospect. And 2 years, this is what I'm talking about, Mr. Enortap. For that one, we have a couple of people talk about different things. Play 500, everybody is agree with that. It's not good enough. And you can lose 82 games on a tap all in overtime, and you still play for 500.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Luc Lafortune said that, Mr. Tap.
That's why you can't look at those overtime and shootout losses because they're deceiving. They're there to create parity in the NHL, and while it gains that objective, it creates a very skewed view of what teams are made up of.
Uh, and then we have Dylan got a 3 game suspension, Mr. Tap, for that
That's about
one.
right.
Left Aaron is back in the house. Welcome back, Lefty. Go, Canucks, go. For that one over there. Pierre Martin, I heard Vancouver want to trade for Savard, Mr. Tap. Conversation left and right. I tried to pick it up everything we can get that one. Misunderstood the question. Jason Bergeron escapait le club dans l'entrée saison pour la Coupe. Il gardait sa ligne de centre. On ne regardait pas en arrière. About that one. Bergevin savait qu'il perdait le job quand c'était 3-1 pour Toronto dans la série. Patrick Leblanc. Here we go. William, I couldn't agree more with you. Price really lifted up a team which it was not that good. It's a shame he did not arrive right on out of the Hamilton about this one. They didn't have as much talent as Celebrity. He may be more talented.
He's a very shifty. I mean, from everything I'm reading and the highlights that I'm seeing, he's looking fantastic. Celebrini is also a top prospect. It depends what you're looking for on your team, right? I think he's more of an energizer. Demidov is. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that statement, but I don't think he'll surpass Celebrini on the draft board.
Oh, I'm getting hot, Mr. Top, in the chat right
Oh,
now
go
about
for it.
that one over there. I'm going to put
Hey,
you
Bob.
on, Mr. Top. We're going to stay under on the template of the show tonight, but before that, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Are you agree?
Of
Luciano
course.
asked me this. Luciano he just sent me a text. He said, "Can you put Enartap on the hot seat? Can you ask him a couple of difficult questions?" So I can do this. Luciano, why not problem? So
You know, we got to get Luciano on the show one day. Like he likes to talk a lot.
Mr. Tab, a lot of people in the chat, and it's great. And everybody have a different opinion, and it's okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Tab.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's all with respect. The only thing we ask you, click on the likes. That's all. But Zip Le Cab,
While you're
Mr.
getting
Tab,
angry.
you know, Patrick Leblanc talk about Bergevin. He talk about if he keep Kokanemi and not Rack first one pick, and we go if, right? But what a great point about Zep Le Cave. He talk about Kachuk and French. is not a tough captain. So, first of all, Mr. Enortap, if I ask this question to you, I believe you're going to tell me Kokanemi, you will draft a Kachuk over Kokanemi, right?
Yeah, they should have done that at the beginning. Yeah,
Okay, so Montreal will be
absolutely.
look better, right? If you look all every year like that, Montreal will be a great team tonight because you can get Charlie McEnroy, Adrian, Kempe, and I can go all the way like that. They do the right pick
Of
and they make the
course.
right decision, everything like that. But my question right now, Mr. Antap, for the first question of the night on the hot seat,
Yeah.
who do you take as your captain of your team? Brody Kachuk or Nick Suzuki? Oh, Mr. Antap.
Yeah. I well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm not sure what Zeph was saying there because I lost some of the meaning in the translation of it. But
He
if
said
what
Kachuk
he's
is not a tough captain. He's more like, again, he like to steer the pot around more to anything else on the ice or on the maybe on the locker room. But
Well, what I would say is he hasn't had the right mentorship in Ottawa. If he had somebody that could have perhaps eased him into that position, I like what Kachuk brings to the forefront in terms of a captain, in terms of a leader, in terms of going out there and being the example. And based on that, I would say probably you're better suited to have Kachuk as your captain. But he's the kind of individual that needs that mentorship, somebody that has either been in that position or has a lot of experience that knows how to sort of calm him down and bring him a little bit down to his core root, right? Suzuki, I like because not a lot phases him. He remains cool and calm and very reflective about everything he does, and that could be a good thing, and sometimes that could be a negative, because sometimes it's like when we talk about the coaches, and some people will say, you know what, I didn't like when we had such and such a coach because he wasn't fiery enough, and then somebody else will say, well, they were always emotional, and maybe they should remain a little bit calmer and measure the words that they use, and both those two things can be right. I think you have to exemplify it at the right time. But personally, I would say if I had to make a choice, I would say I'd rather have somebody that leads by example and that shows a little bit of edge to his game, and I think Brady does that.
yeah, on the ice, I will go with Brady. On the off ice, I will go more Nick Suzuki. But if you want to build a culture of a team, I would take Nick Suzuki over Brady Ketchuk. That's the way I see
I'm,
that. Because the way you need to have a team, I think the immaturity of Kachuk right now does not helping him um, on every level right now. On ice, off ice, he did right. We know what he can do on the ice, right? He tried, but you can see his immaturity sometimes make him to make a bad decision overall. For me, I prefer his maturity at the same age like Suzuki at 24 years old compared to Kachuk. And I think Suzuki, at the end of the day, is going to deliver almost the same number of points. They just are different players on the ice, Mr. That one brings some physicality to the
yeah,
game, as someone bring over more like a playmaker compared to Kachuk, Suzuki, So, Kachuk is the driver. He would bring everything by his physicality. He's going to respond that way over there. But if I have a slightly take a chance, take a captain, I would go me for Suzuki around. Now I would take 5 Kachuk around Suzuki and my team. Does it make sense?
yeah, I get what you say, and it goes back to what I was saying. There's different ways to lead a team. Like if you look at Montreal, for example, in their history, I mean, you've had guys like Bob Gainey that have been your captain, but they're the quiet, kind of lead by example. He's great off the ice as well as he was very effective on the ice. And then you had the guys that were fiery, like Richard was, or and they just bring something different to the game. My only thing with Kachuk is the fact that, like I said, and maybe this is more of a systemic problem across the NHL, like where we're appointing captains, I think, at a very, very young age. And I think very few are equipped to accept that responsibility to the degree that it needs to be. And I think that's what's happening here with Kachuk. It's not that he's a bad captain, but right now he's lost his orientation a little bit. He thinks that just by starting a fight, that's being the leader, and that's not the case. That sometimes hurts your team more than helps.
I would say one more thing about that is look the locker room of Montreal Canadiens and look the locker room of Ottawa Senator. The last 3 years and the last 3 years when Kachuk, 2 years now Kachuk is captain. It's not the same.
Yeah, but is that because of Kachuk or is it because of the team?
Kachuk.
Like I
Kachuk,
look
Mr.
at
Attack, is
I
the captain. Kachuk suggests Tim Suzla. Shut your mouth right now, pick it up, and sit there and carry on your bag, and that's it, that's all. Souza is
yeah.
bigger in the locker room like anybody else right now. He's only 19 to 20 years old. Kachuk has set up those kind of situations like that. They have too many young players in that team carry on the load of the Ottawa Senators with no respect for the rest of the other players. So they surround himself
There's no
by,
mentorship.
I'm
There's no
sorry?
mentorship, coach. There's no mentorship. That's the problem. Like I look at Colorado and I see just a fiery individual in McKinnon, but he's gone through a lot of hardships. He's learned how to be a mature leader over time. He's had other players on that team that have been able to sort of set him aside, right? And can we say that about Ottawa? I mean, they're all young, or they have been for the last couple of years. Everybody's pretty much at the same level. I mean, you can make a case. Okay, Giroux is a leader, but maybe I don't know. To me, it doesn't. He doesn't strike me as the kind of mentor that Kachuk needed on that team. He needed somebody a little bit more with a presence, an established history in his game that you respect.
You're absolutely about that. So my point behind that is like because they don't have enough experienced players like Suzuki was around him. So Suzuki become develop better maturity around the team. He understood what it takes to get there. The same thing I was said, and not again blame Kachuk Mesanta, but the fact Suzuki went to the final cup. See players like Weber, Carey Price, Corey Perry, those players, what it took them to understand Eric Stahl, all those captain former in NHL with
Corey
experience,
Perry.
16, 15, 19 years old. I think that push Ski to learn quicker what it takes to be a captain and to learning from that part. I think Monahan, it was a great asset beside Ski to talk to him about some things. So, that's maybe I would say to you, it's not Kachuk's fault. I did not have those kind of
Yeah,
surround himself and don't get those experience like that, obviously, for Kachuk. Does that make sense?
totally. Yeah, that's sort of what I was alluding to.
Exactly about that. So we have a couple of things about this. One, Arbor is at the game. Kachuk is very quiet about this one over there. Understand that Zeph, talented player, need time to develop. Patrick talk about the talent. I will say to you, Patrick, player are going to the league with skill and talent better to other players, but they still have to develop to understand how the NHL work. They're not going there and say, "Oh, I have enough skill and talent to show exactly who I am." You need to develop at the end of the night. Because he said, Mr. Tap, he said, Patrick, on the word on the conclusion will come hockey management as one big flow over management and over coach. It's not the point, Patrick. Look the game, Mr. Tap or Mitch Marner. Look the game, the Austin Matthews overall, how they develop their skill on the ice now. They understood what it takes. Mitch Marner, when he showed up in NHL, was not to play on the PK. It was to
Hmm.
play scoring goal and create some playmaker. Now he learned to play PK. The player developed with time and that to play the game at 200 game on the ice. Cole Caufield right now is on the process to do it. Nick Ski tried to develop his defenses on the game. they show up with some kind of talent or resume behind them. Caufield, he can put the puck anywhere in the net at any angle. That's why he built his resume. But on the flip side, he's struggling on defensive zone. So development comes with time to become a professional and what it takes to stay with consistency in NHL. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Uh, for that one over there. The return to barn. The Bain is back in the house, Mr. Tap. Welcome back, return to Bain.
Welcome.
For that one, we have a couple of people talk for that. And there's a dish also. Suzuki would be on the diving gym team and the next Olympic. About that one over there. So Tap, you want to get the next hot seat.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
All right. I'm going to get there. I don't know. I don't know what I do this one with them. So tap maybe a look at this one. So I'm going to check my. I put this at the end of the show, but no. Here we go, Mr. Tap. Albert Jekai. Play 15 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Is it now or is ceiling? Do you think Abajakai feel is this is the max he can do in NHL? Not about 12 minutes, 13, 14 minutes, but because he's never been undrafted, he never been drafted in NHL. He never played at that star high skill hockey overall during his career. Yes, he go through adversity, challenge, he go through the, he have his friend Pat, everything like that. But at this moment, do you feel Jekai have a better and more another ceiling to be more compared to a third pairing in NHL? Because right now, that's what they consider him sporadically 13, 14, 15 minutes per game.
Yeah, not even that high as we saw yesterday. I mean, there's so much conversation going around this coach. I mean, I have my opinion on it. I know you have yours, Marco his, and everybody else can obviously chime in. And there isn't necessarily one thing that is right or wrong. Here's where my contention is. He obviously made it to this level based on the way he plays the game. And when he made the team last year, and there was obviously something that they like in his game. But you can't leave a player like that idle too long. You cannot give him just, 10 minutes, 11 minutes a night. Like, this is a guy that needs to develop. And we're seeing it in Slafkovsky. Imagine if you were giving Slafkovsky, 10, 11, 12 minutes a night. Now, here's the difference. Slafkovsky is a number one pick. So they have more invested in that and making sure that he gets developed to that stage that they anticipate. So they're thinking, okay, the ceiling here is much, much higher. And it is if he's a number one pick, obviously. But they're invested more in developing that player than they are with Jacky. And that's the part I'm finding a little bit tough to swallow, because players are making errors just as much as Jacky are, and in some cases even more. Like yesterday's game, you saw Pearson, two very bad penalties, but we don't hear anything about it the next day. We don't put him over the racks and say this guy. Now you can make the argument, well, you know what, he's not going to be part of this team, so why are we worried about it? And that's a valid point, but when it comes to developing a young player, you got to keep him within the context of what brought him there first. And physicality is that. Now, you can teach discipline within that physical kind of game that he plays. Like, you can't strip him of being a physical player, because he's going to think twice. This guy's coming down the side. Like, he doesn't have the skating ability to keep up all the time with certain players in the league. So his asset is, okay, I'm going to take the body here. So let's teach him how to do that properly without drawing a penalty. That I can totally accept. But at the same time, you have to give him the ice time to develop. And that's critical. And if it's not in Montreal, then put him in Laval and give him the opportunity to develop it there. And then you bring him up again later in the year, or maybe even next year. But to give him, like yesterday, I think he had maybe 12 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, like you could tell he's very timid out there. I don't think he delivered one body hit, one body check yesterday. Uh, like he's sort of like a deer in headlights. He doesn't know what he has to do. And that's wrong. That's where we're failing in his development.
But again, a third pairing play 15, 16 minutes. This is the top he can reach. Is the top of his ceiling?
Well, if you give him that kind of time and you see growth, then yeah, there's another gear he can go. He might turn out to be a second pairing defense, but we'll never know if we don't give him that time and actually observe. Let him learn from his mistakes. We have to give him that opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm not seeing it. That's my only contention with this. I'm not saying that they don't care about him. I think they do, but in the process of how they're handling him, they're maybe stripping him of the assets that he brings to the game. There's a reason why we said he's a unicorn. Like he brings intangibles to the game that many other players don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have teams right now, as
But
is rumored, that are
who
knocking on the.
categorize a unicorn? See, you fans, you did that. But check out problem skating, problem defensive coverage, problem first pass. I can go the way like that. You guys, you consider him an unicorn because he can fight and he can play physical. And
No, 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 no.
Strubble,
It's not.
Strubble is a unicorn. He is unicorn because he can fight. That's how you consider Jakai.
No,
So how
no.
he's a unicorn for what?
Because he can play a physical type of game. He's the kind of
Strubble can he
defenseman.
play? Can Strubble can play a physical game
Okay, but why are we comparing these two guys?
because they are physical. Because unicorn is because it's not only physical in the game. My point, you consider him a unicorn because we consider him he can be really guy can scare other players on the ice and he can fight other players. That's what we consider a unicorn, like they was a couple of
No.
years ago with Tom Wilson. But for me, I see a better player Strubble over Jacky because he bring more on the ice. So for me, when someone said he's a unicorn, um, I don't know how many players have played better at Jacky, like a unicorn. Like, what is a unicorn? What he has,
Okay,
nobody has.
would you consider when Dustin Bufflin played? Would you consider him a unicorn in terms of a defenseman?
Jacky, Mr. Enortap, is 5, 6 times lower at him. It's not the
Yes,
same
yes,
level as the talented, skilled
but
hockey players.
but his biggest asset was the fact that he was physical. I'm not saying fighting. Let's not confuse physical with fighting. He can do that, and that's great. That's something else he has on his resume. And if it makes his teammates feel 2 inches taller and creates more room on the ice for them, like all benefit to the entire team. But what I'm saying is he, like, even yesterday he gets an assist, he hits the goalpost, and he only played how many minutes? Like this guy
12:29,
has an right. So
12:29. Why do you think he
he,
played only 12:29, Mr. Enortap?
well, I don't know. That's a question that you have to
But it's
pose to
easy,
the
Mr. Enortap.
management.
It's easy.
It's
Why
not because
Peseda
he's
played
playing,
7 minutes and Caufield played 19 minutes, Mr. Enortap?
they're different skill level, but you
Same
can't say
thing,
that
Mr.
with
Enortap. Madison or
no,
Jacky?
no.
Who do you play? Jacky over Madison? Do you play Madison? Do you play Jacky again, the first line of Western Capitals all night long?
I,
No. That's
I'm not
as a
seeing the
coach,
point
you're not
here.
there. Say we're going to send Jacky because we need to play 16 minutes per game. We send Jacky when we need him a specific area of the game, like the four line play only a couple of minutes versus the top line. Same thing as the
Oh,
Jacky. That's the reason. This is maybe the top ceiling he can get in NHL as a third pairing. Play 13, 14, 15 minutes per game, 16 minutes per game. For what he
okay,
bring on the
what's that?
table,
But
that's
here's
all.
my question. Here's my question. What are you basing that on? He
On his
hasn't played
play.
long enough. He hasn't played long enough in the NHL for us to make that determination. If he had played 5 years and this is all we see every year, bad penalties, he can't skate, he can't make a
I
pass,
never
he
talk
gets
about
into
his
too many
penalty
fights.
yet, Mr. Tap. I only talk
Is
about
what?
his execution on the game.
And it hasn't been any worse than somebody like Harris, Kovacevic.
Harris, Mr.
Uh,
Tap, Mr. Harris play which one? Third pairing, Mr. Tap.
Harris plays third. He's
Third
played
pairing.
second.
That's it, Mr.
He's
Tap.
played
Third pairing.
he's played number 7. Yeah. Well, I mean, are we saying that Matheson hasn't made mistakes
That's normal,
defensively?
Mr. Tap. Are you
Has
going to
Savard
use
made
Jacky over
mistakes?
Madison? My point
No. You
behind that,
say
Mr. Tap, is Jacky is a third pairing. Right?
no.
That's who they are. Like you have player play on the 4 line. That's why they play 9 minutes, 10 minutes, because this is their ceiling. This is the only they can be in NHL. They're fighting there to stay alive, to survive. This is my
Okay,
question to you.
coach.
Do you believe that
Okay.
Jacky he reached his full ceiling right now? Is it the best
Well,
you can get for Jacky and
my
NHL?
answer is no. My answer is no, but I want to pose a question to you because last year, not this year, but last year, let's take Slafkovsky and the way he was playing and the way he was being hit and the way he was giving up the puck. Like we should have said at some point, I think he's reached the ceiling. He shouldn't be playing more than 10 minutes a game. We would have destroyed this player. I
Mr.
still
Tap, you're talking
think he,
about a first overall pick, a
yes,
first
yes, I'm
round
being
pick, Mr. Enortap, versus a guy never
yes.
been drafted in NHL.
Okay, and that's
How
my
many players,
point.
Mr. Enortap, in
Like there,
NHL? Okay, how many players who never been on draft have a great career? You're going to get Joe Pavelski, Martin Saint Louis. It's only a few, 0.005% of them are going to be good. They become who they did in NHL. My
yeah,
point
the
to you, Mr. Antab,
unicorns.
said, do you think this is the ceiling of Jack in my opinion? A third pairing can play 15 minutes per game, and you're going to bring some kind of dimension of the game that other defenseman does not have, and you need on your bench, can defend well and front the net, and you can help in your team at specific at the time of the game and a specific time of the season. And that's what Jack is going to be an NHL, I believe, as a defenseman.
And all I'm saying is, and I'm not again, I wasn't trying to compare him to a number 1 pick. I just brought that up as an example that you can put blinders on and never allow a player to reach his ceiling. And I do believe there is a greater ceiling, but you have to try. Like, what's okay if he makes 2 or 3 mistakes and we lose 2 or 3 extra games this year? What's the harm? At least you have an answer at the end of the year to say, you know what? We gave him the opportunity. He couldn't reach the ceiling that we expected. Let's get rid of him. Let's trade him. Let's put him in the AHL. I can accept that. I'm not saying that he has to be your second pairing or your third pairing or your first pairing. But to not give a player that opportunity means you're not properly doing your due diligence in developing that player. That's all I'm saying. Because what if he can get to that stage? What if he can get to a Dustin Bufflin level?
Big, I don't know he
You
can
never
get
know.
that level. I don't know he can sin in NHL, Mr. Top.
Okay, yeah, but let's find out. Let's give him the time because this year is a write-off, anyways. If we lose a couple of extra games, you're going to get a better pick, anyways. So give him that. This is your chance now to see, what these players can do, and that's the way we opened up with the headliners. Like it's the young kids' game now. We're getting rid of some of the players that we had to. Let's give these guys an opportunity just like we're giving some of the other defensemen at the same time. Uh, like allow them to play, and then you have answers. But if you never give them that opportunity, you'll never truly know if yes or no, if he can reach that ceiling. Like I just don't see how we can base it on the optics and just say, well, he makes 2 or 3 mistakes a night, so right now, uh, I'm going to give him only 10 minutes to play every night, and then B, at the end, I'm going to trade him or just throw him in the AHL for the rest of his career.
Yeah, but again, I think for me, the only way you can learn, it's not going to be an NHL. It's going to be more on American Hockey League.
Okay.
At the
Okay.
end,
I'm fine with that. Just
but I don't
just
think
put
so.
him
They
there.
finish him as on top because his mistake as the mistake on the ice. like he got beat on this corner or he got that. I think the mistake he get punished, I believe, it's more when he gave bad penalty he take during the game.
Okay, so let's give him the chance to learn from that, but don't strip him of what got him there in the first place. That's the backbone of who he is. And again, I'm not saying fighting because there's very little fighting going on in the NHL anymore. So that's irrelevant. But we're saying he has that in his repertoire just in case he has to. Then we know he can handle himself and help his teammates. But get him to play physical. Like, sometimes the most exciting thing was when Subban used to deliver those hip checks. Do you remember those, Coach? The entire, or even sometimes Markov would do it, or not Markov, but uh, his name escapes me now. The other, I think, was the Russian defenseman on Montreal. Used to deliver some bruising, totally legitimate hip checks, and that's what you want. You want a player that, you know what, if you're going to speed down the sides or try to cut across the middle, you're going to be met with a body check.
Again, like I said, for me, I think it could be maybe a ceiling what we see right now for Jekai. Again, I catalyze
Maybe.
him as a third pairing in the initial. A guy can play 50, 60 minutes. Aspect of the game to fund other defensemen. You need at some point, and that's what I believe is going to get that way. The way they're going to use him right now, for me, he fit a specific spot with the Montreal Canadiens, but I think it would be better for him to be in Laval for the rest of the year and to finish play more minutes and see what it look like with time. We know the aspect of this game, physicality and everything like that. We already know that he need to improve a lot in skating, about defensive zone coverage, and to realize he take his better decision judgment on the game, hockey sense, a bit elevate his hockey sense with the first pass. First pass have to get better, everything like that. So there are a lot of assets to improve. But for me, the setting for him right now, I see him more as a third pairing and NHL.
Yeah, and I just want to thank people that Emelin was the other guy I was thinking of when he was with Montreal. Delivered
Emelin,
some great body checks. Emelin, yeah, Emelin,
yeah,
very
third
good
pairing defenseman,
physical.
element, and
Yeah,
after that, he disappear
exactly.
in NHL.
Yeah, yeah. If
That's
that's
I
the
believe about
case,
that.
but
Um, Eminem. Everybody talk about Eminem. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. That'd be awesome. But that's called Mr. Tap. Are you out seat tonight?
we'll agree to disagree.
But again, I'm nothing against anybody else about it. I just see that way about him. And again, I don't know, Mr. Tap. I don't know why they don't put him as a forward.
And they might try that. You never know. They might try that, and I think you just owe it to yourself to be. You have to be experimental in these opportunities that are presented. And again, if it's not in Montreal, I'm okay with it. Put him down in Laval. Let him develop there a little bit more, and then bring him up when the time is right. If you see that there has been development, right?
Yeah.
If there hasn't, then you're absolutely right. Then he's reached the ceiling, and let's not waste time with it, anymore. At least we have the answers because we have the data based on the time on the ice that has been given to him and the coaching that's been uh, uh, provided to him to allow him to grow. And if he hasn't grown, there's your answer.
I get it. You still want to win a game. Yes, Maurice. This is a great point for Maurice. By the way, Maurice Robillard, welcome back in the house. We appreciate that. Gary is in the house. Bob's, the uncle is in the house. I love it. That's on top.
Hey,
Your
Bob.
uncle, Bob's, your uncle. We want to say hi to Roger Delaney also somewhere and everybody else. But Maurice have a good point here. And Martin said we still have a double standard as far as playing and putting the youth out there. And I get it. He still want to win the game. Um, this is where Mr. Tap is very important. Where you walk on the edge, right? you have a part of your room is veterans, and a part of your room is young players. And we earlier we talked about build your culture by winning, and you build your culture by maybe sometimes losing also, right? I would say you never lose a game, you just learn tonight. That's it. That's all. If you give all your effort, and for me
Yeah.
right now is a double standard because 3-2 missing on top. 5 minutes to go. Do you send Jacky or you send a veteran player like Sava on the defense? Right? I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
send Ireland at the end of the game, or do you send a veteran players like Montreal was with the Montreal? You know what I mean? Like he has to deal with that part. And Martin said he's right. At some point, you double standard. You want to not give up, but you want to teach at the same time, and you have to win the game at the same time. It's not easy. My point is on top. It's not easy when you do go through those process at the same time.
No, you're right about that. Uh, I mean his objective is to build that that culture that we talked about so many times, and I think it's essential to have. But at the same time, he wants a win. Um, but and maybe this is what separates a good coach from an excellent coach. An excellent coach will also know how to do that within the context of development. And maybe that's what the comment was about the double standards. Like, to me, Matheson playing 27 minutes last night, too much. That shows to me that he's putting him on because he's for him that's the most reliable veteran that he has on there. But is that really developing your youth, right? Like when other guys around them were playing, well, we said whatever, 12 and a half minutes for Jacky. Kovacevic, I think, had, about 14 minutes. Uh, like I think it should be at the end, you have to be a little bit more cognizant of how you handle their minutes and making sure that you're winning, but you're also developing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Patrick, you talk about Daryl Strawberry Machanta,
I remember Daryl. Yes, excellent player.
number 18, Machanta.
Yes,
It was
yes,
really
yes, yes.
confusing before the game
All
started,
star.
Mr. Strawberry.
Why?
When you put him on the same locker room, like with Floyd Humans, Machanta, the smell that got out when you open the door is very different, if you're inside your car.
That's strawberry. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, you enjoy Mr. Tap with Lenny Dextra and Willie Backman. They have a couple of players was a little bit different than
Extra.
what we expect.
Look at the coach pulling out names from the good old 80s and 90s.
I remember Mr. Tap, Willie McCovey for the San Francisco. Willie Mays and Mr. Tap.
Willie Mays, I don't
We
go
should
back
show
that
Mr.
far.
Tap, during the summer, Mr. Tap, we should do a show about baseball. Is it not? I
Why
think,
not?
why not? You have a lot of
Are
people,
you
Luc
gonna?
Laporson, William, Maurice, many people in the chat, Mr. Tap, are older. And they've been follow Montreal Exposed and the basement. That'd be great to have a really night about the Montreal Exposed, Mr. Tap, and the baseball. I think
Yeah.
the
Hey.
people will love it. They will remind a
Yeah.
lot of stories, Mr. Tap.
Oh, absolutely. And we have such a wide range of people in our family here that some are young, some are older, and they can bring all sorts of experiences to the table for sure. That's a good idea. I like that.
I think it would be great. I agree with you, Maurice, about MLS, about this. Mr. Tep, you want to talk about different things? First of all, we have 39, so we can go through this. We have a lot of
Yeah.
subjects. Future Montreal, Caufield, Suzuki, we can go there. But you want to talk about specific things, Mr. Tep, right?
Yeah, I sort of wanted to just bring along a couple of observations, and when the trade was made with Monahan, it came with a couple of things in mind, and I'm looking at it from Winnipeg's perspective. Winnipeg, we look at their record and they've been very successful, no doubt about it. But if you look at their power play, they were clicking at about a 15.6%, which ranked 24th in the league. And what we're trying to show here is this is Winnipeg right here, and they were not utilizing the bumper position very well at all. As you can see there, there's nobody. Like they move the puck around well, but they never have a person that gets in front of the net and is able to read the situation, be an outlet pass when it has to be, and also be a threat to score at any given point that you get the puck. And we see it here as well. Sometimes putting a man in front of the goalie does not mean necessarily that you're doing that. The bumper position has to be somebody that reads the situation, approaches areas where there's pressure, so you relieve the pressure, and then you're able to either dish off the puck to somebody that's open because the defense is closing in on you, or you take that shot. And this is what Winnipeg has been lacking so dearly. Also, with Winnipeg has been their face-off ability, and they're around I think a 46% winning percentage, and they haven't shown that at all. And having Monahan, I think, is going to drastically improve that. Um, if we compare this now to when Monahan was with Montreal, if you recall, Coach, the first I forget what it was, about 25 to 30 games, Montreal's power play was pathetic. But it wasn't until they put Monahan in the bumper position that we started to slowly improve that percentage to a more reasonable level. And the clip you just showed there showed him available right in front, and he's here. He's waiting. He's giving options. He'll back up. He shoulder checks about 4 or 5 times in different areas, and then he finds. I mean, that was an amazing. When we saw it in live time, it looked like that was a direct pass, but it was a pass made to Monahan, and he slowly deflected it to Caufield, who then was able to do that. Now look at the options he gives here. He moves up, gives it an opportunity. He moves down, he backs up, gives an opportunity right there in case he receives that pass. And he also it has the opportunity to pass it here. The timing, amazing as well. And this comes with experience. Right there, he puts himself in the right position at the right time. And this is where they're going to benefit the most from. This was against Boston here, this game. You know, he sold that pass to the left side, but instead he found Caufield down low, and that's part of being an effective player on the power play. And we're going to see it again here. Here's the fake. It looks like it's going to go to the right side, but instead he finds Caufield down low. And you got a sniper like Caufield, he's not going to miss on those kind of opportunities. So unfortunately, this is what we will miss, and I think Winnipeg will benefit. And I give them credit to Winnipeg as well because they're acquiring a player that will make them better for the playoffs.
First of all, thanks for sharing your idea about him. But yeah, a lot of great comments in the chat and that. They ask you, is it your 5K camera you use, Mr. Tap, for recording? RDP said is a 3D. Is a 3D. Look at person, is it that from 72 series? About that, he just saw Jim Papin on the ice, Mr. Tap. I like great comments, Mr. Tap. It's funny that people are never any fun in the chat about that. And we open the door about the baseball player. People talk about players in the center tap left and right right now. And it's fun to see that. Remind me a lot. It's fun players when I was in the baseball industry. But great comment, Mr. Tap, about Sean Monahan, honestly. And I think there would be a time where you put Tanner Pearson, you can see. I think for me, the bumper is not only to get the puck and then redistribute the puck to somewhere else, right? Is to move the box of the opponent team. If your bumper go for the hash mark, Mr. Tap, you go all the way up a bit, 20 feet, close to the blue line example. What happening? The box expand, right? And then if your bumper is coming down in the middle, now the box is going to collapse together because now they have to follow also the bumper and plus the checking the flanker left and right. This is what
That's
the
right.
Monahan was doing. Sandy put him on the bumper. Before that, prior to that, it was more on the goal line, if you remember, and they
That's right.
realized was
Yes,
not good enough for him. When he became a bumper, it's not easy bumper players, Mr. Tap. And one player played very well is Brendan Point for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Mr. Tap. You
that's
need to have a
correct.
really
Yes.
great bumper to make that power play works very well, Mr. Tap.
And yesterday with Washington, like, I mean, I'm shocked. I get that they're, Kuznetsov and Backstrom are not in the lineup, and that was a big plus, especially on the power play for Ovechkin. But you notice he's playing at the point a lot, Ovechkin. You're not going to score a lot of goals from the point, not in today's NHL. He has to be, in his usual slot position, and he has to have a good bumper player to sort of set him up.
Well, when you put him in on top, you remove two is a high quality players he is, right? First
Absolutely,
of all,
yeah.
is the power of his shot, right? And then is one timer shot on the flanker on the opposite side on the back door. So now you put him on the top over there. It's not really good situation overall for that part or for the Washington Capitals. That's the reason they are only at 14.5, and that's the reason they try to get other things what they can do at the end of the night. That's not that for sure. Let's move on. What we got here, people that talk about Ron LaFleur, Coco La Boy. Then they talk about fun player play with Montreal Canadiens, exposed Rusty Staub, and everything like that. The future must on tap, we talk about Juraj Slafkovsky, his performance yesterday, 8, 9 goals a year. And I think he was the most of the people was impressed the fact like now he showed the puck and he capitalized on those opportunities. Um, Someone, Frankie, remember Frankie Leonidas? He talk in the chat sometime, right? You
Yeah,
expect
yeah.
you get that guy to 87 point. I have a lot of comments on my video today, and you talk about that kind of player could be 80 to 85 point. Give us a bit more what you think about Slafkovsky and what would be a bit your expectation as hockey players in the future. But I think the future have to go through Slafkovsky. And then I said earlier, Mr. Tap, for me, or yesterday, I don't know, man, or maybe in my video, he was maybe the best player to be drafted at the 2022 so far at the NHL draft.
Yeah, I mean, so far his development has been there. He's no. I don't think he's anywhere near his ceiling yet, but we're seeing a huge improvement over last year, and the work he invested in it over the summer means a lot. The fact that they don't play a lot of games over in Europe. When he was playing there, he has to grow into his own body. He's still young. He's learning the game, but he's a very good student of the game, and he has a very high IQ. And you're slowly starting to see, even yesterday, you're starting to see now that he does have a shot if he utilizes it a little bit more. I mean, both goals were different, but very impressive shots either way. And I'm excited to see where his future will take him, as long as he keeps growing. Like, I still don't see. If I wanted to see something more, I want to see even a little bit more physicality in this game, because I think he's got that presence that he can do that. But I really like his back checking. If we look at yesterday, that goal that was scored right away by Suzuki, yes, Caufield was the one that made that nice pass, but it was Suzuki's back check, which you showed in the video today, Coach,
Right
That,
here,
yeah,
Mr.
I think
Enortap.
this, yeah, right here. Like he got off his high horse and he chased this down, got a stick in the way of the pass that was being made. It got intercepted by, I think it was Caufield, and then he made the pass to Suzuki for that goal. So, I mean, he's doing the little things that you don't generally see. He's doing them right, and that's what you want to see. That's development to me.
This is Mr. Enortap. When you coach, you practice this with your players. It's called a jump gun, where you want the player to react every time you have a winning situation or losing situation. Puck. So, because on that one, guys, it creates some block the space of oven skin at that level, and that will give up to Arbor to open up after that. You can see oven skin because Washington play man to man. You can see now the Washington pick up their men. If you look about all the four other players without Jacky, they all cover. But because Slafkovsky stopped Ovechkin is late on that play. Look the space you have between Jacky and Ovechkin. And Jacky can walk more. He decided to release the puck quicker, but he can walk all the way down. And then you can have a replay, and then Suzuki score a goal right there. But again, this is a kind of situation you learn with time. You develop with time, everything like that. The details of the game. And it's a process. It's an improvement every game. It's a development. Behind everything is not that. For me, is maturity. Is
Yeah,
the way he talk on with the mic in front of him, the way he explained the different thing about that, and way he still be humble. He know he's a little bit better, successful a little bit right now, but he's still humble to learning, to pushing himself to become the best version of himself on NHL. And you can see his development in the last couple of months with the Montreal Canadiens. And in my video, I said, Mr. That why he's better today? You have a better shot? No, it's the same shot. It's more about confidence, more about the
it's
trust of
confidence.
his coach, is chemistry with his teammate, and believe now he can accomplish things he never thought he's going to do before. You put this out, this is a recipe to be successful. And that's where he is right now. Again, it's too early. It could be a next 5-7 game he will struggle. You look yesterday, Mr. That his first period was flat overall. He was
Yeah,
not moving
we
his
were saying it
feet.
was one of his worst
He was
games.
not engaged yet. He was back for the All Star game. It took him 20 minutes to go back on his game. That's a normal process. And not everybody use this, but he used on the first period two excellent defensive back checking,
Place.
make that play for the Montreal Canadiens. So, congratulations for Slafkovsky for his desire to become a better hockey
and
player. Congratulations, Montreal
and
Canadiens, to select Slafkovsky.
he's got very good hands, and he's with confidence. You're going to see some more of those rushes that he's only shown maybe a handful of times, Coach. But when he is, he's you can see he's there's poetry in motion, and that's why I started off jokingly, but I'm really seeing it. I compare him to shades of Mahovlich, Peter Mahovlich, and call him Slavhovlich because of that. Because he's very smooth. He's got that long stick. He's got that long reach. He can make us. He can deke through players. And that part we haven't seen. That's still the ceiling that we're trying to get to with him. But once he gets that confidence that you talk about, you're going to see that become part of his repertoire.
Yeah, absolutely right about that for sure. And I think, with time, you talk about the physicality. I think for me, he has some kind of physicality better this year compared to last year. He's more solid
Yes.
on his skate, right? He don't fall like he was
Yeah.
doing last year. But he's a guy, Mr. That he could go with, you think he's not going to have a big impact in the corner. He can hit someone if he put is willing to do it at some point. So they'll be shocked to see that in the future with Slafkovsky. Overall, Mr. Tap, what kind of player he can become? A 20 goal, 25, 30 goal, 60 points, 70 points, 75 point, 80 point, 90 point?
You know what? I to be honest with you, I like GSM's comment that he made earlier. I think he quoted something like, if he can do, 25 goals and 45 assists for a total of 70 points per year, I mean, you've got a good player there, and I don't disagree with that statement. I think that that's a reasonable expectation, and I think he's definitely capable of it. I don't see why 70 to 80 points is not within his reach.
Yeah, would be interesting to see that about that. I like the comparison on top, the big P. Maurice Robillard talk about Peter Mohavlich, Mr. Tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, some player, Mr. Tap, can piss you off sometime, right?
Who, Jack guy?
No, Jacky, he have a big heart. He work hard. He does
Yeah.
not like Jacky does not do a lot of bad, lazy play. In my opinion, like
Right.
he's not like don't really care what's. You know, what I mean? Like he work hard. Like
Yeah.
you can see that, right? But some players on
Yeah.
tap, they go and they are lazy sometimes. I think Peter Marley was one of them. Like it will upset
Yeah.
me.
He picked and chose the times that he wanted to turn it on. You're right about that. Yeah.
Like it was
But
like
when it,
sometimes like
but when
sometimes
he was on, he was on. He was
oh yeah, it
quite the
was a great
player.
hockey player, Mr. Tap. Like
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
carrying that line with Lafleur's shot at some point, Mr. Tap.
Yeah.
But I bet sometime Scotty Bowman and Peter Marlish in the same office, it was not always been a great.
Yeah. There
For
were
see.
times. You're right.
King of Gamer, we wish you the best, my friend. Hopefully, we'll be well. Uh, we'll always learn from mistake, and you cannot look at backwards. You have to go forward. And I wish you the best, my friend. And we're always going to be here for you at any moment. You can reach us at any time, for sure. RDP
Absolutely.
talk about the size, not about points. Okay, as a good development and attribute. RDP about this. And thanks so much, Kane. Mr. Tap, we have other thing I would like to share with you before we move out. We have 3 minutes, Mr. Tap. Caufield will be the next time, another problem. The Canadian set up will be another time, Mr. Tap. Montreal Canadiens News, Mr. Tap. David
Yeah.
Rebecca, they have some kind of the conversation possible. He can reach the Montreal Canadiens quicker, faster, and get out of Cloden after they have a third head coach. What do you feel about that?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I personally like for him to sort of experience, the have the same experience that some of our North American players have had, and it's important that he becomes acclimatized to the ice rink here, the tempo of the game. Uh, at this point, if he can come back, it would be good for his own development. I've seen from some of the clips that I've seen so far, like I've seen improvement since the beginning of the year in his play. Even though he's on a very poor team there, and they're losing a lot more games than they're winning, but he's maintaining his own, and he's been very consistent. But he needs to be challenged some more, and you don't do that until you're immersed with players that are of the same caliber over here.
I agree with you about that one. That would be interesting. Hopefully, he's going to join Montreal Canadiens very soon. I expect him to be a solid defenseman in NHL. Mr. Tap. We talked about this a bit earlier. Montreal
You
Canadiens,
think,
Mr. Tap,
Coach,
trade deadline. David Savard, Jake Allen, trade or not?
if it's the right deal, I think one or both are possibilities. I don't think they're in any rush with terms of Allen. I think Hughes did the right thing in terms of not retaining any contract, any money on Monahan. I think he did that with the purpose that if he had to with either Savard or Allen, that he was prepared to do that. So I don't know. I'm not a big proponent of the three goalie system. Um, you know, I've played that position, and not anywhere at the pro level, but I've played it, and the one thing that you want is consistency. You want to know, if you're the backup, you're the backup. If you're the starter, you're the starter. When you're starting, then obviously you have a particular routine that you go through. So it's important that they establish that. And for Monte to continue to do better, he's got to get more games in there. It's not enough. Like, you want to see, can he handle 50 plus games in a year? And the only way you do that is if you're in a two goalie system. I
Yeah,
understand. I understand. I understand all the the precautions. Like a lot of teams, like, look at the trouble they're having with goaltenders, injuries, and all that, and the need for a third goalie. And maybe the NHL would head that direction. But for now, I don't think it serves Montreal best. I don't think it does any good to Primo to be playing like maybe once every 10 games or whatever the case is, and Montebo needs to play more.
good question. Back to back, Mr. Tap. GSM team are looking for right defenseman. What a good trade for Savard.
What's a good trade for? They're looking for a right-handed. Well, that's what we need, right? um, that's the problem. We're overloaded with left-handed defensemen. You can definitely put something together with a left-handed defenseman than we can with the right. As a matter of fact, I don't think we have that flexibility, right?
Yeah. Um, I think for me, it would be a, a late first round pick, Mr. Tap, for Savard. It's not worth it to trade Savard at this moment with the Montreal Canadiens. They already lost Monahan, and I feel Jake Allen is going to be gone at some point. I think as David Savard still around the team for one more year, that will be more benefit a long term for the Montreal Canadiens at let him go right now and picks number 27, 29, 30, whatever it is. And with $3.4 million, Mr. Tap, for one more year, it does not hurt your salary cap overall. For me, I will not trade David Savard.
What if it's the only thing I'm thinking is Savard at his highest right now in terms of value?
So again,
Do you think right now he's at his highest value in terms of trade bait?
at the end of the day, Mr. Tap, I think he's going to have the same value next year at the traded line with no contract. He become UFA at the end of the year, and he's going to be your third pairing defenseman, deep and depth on the defense. He's going to get another first round pick late if it's the case next year. I don't see a lower next season compared to this season.
The only thing is you have one more year of control over his contract, right? You have him for an additional year if you're a team. Like, do you think you could get a relatively high prospect and like a second or third round pick with that?
Yeah, I don't think so. Anything would give a top prospect in return for Savard. And he's not on the first on the list, by the way. I think Danev is one of them before that. You have other defensemen,
Oh yeah,
Mr. Tap. Now, I
Hannafin.
know understand he's a right defenseman. Right defensemen don't have a lot on the traded line. But again, Montreal Canadiens does not have any defenseman can carry on that side over there. They have more defensemen can play on the third pairing. I'm talking about Kovacevic, Barron, Mayu maybe next season. And I think for me, um, because they use Coley on that side with Savard. Uh, and if you say, okay, let's open a spot for Rebecca, do you feel
Yeah.
comfortable to carry on another year with only Coley, Rebecca, Mayu, Kovacevic? I don't think so. It's too young to carry on that. And you don't talk about Hudson and Engstrom possible and Strobel on that left side. I think you need experience like David Savard. He can play 20 minutes, 90 minutes. I don't care. But David Savard around the players like the young that we're going to get the next 2 years, it's a really big, important piece of the puzzle, Mr. Tap, compared to Jake Allen. Um, example. I think Jake Allen, a question for Bob, said, do you think is too demanding can use? I think it can use way the right time to trade Jake Allen and That's the reason behind that, Bob's. But I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my point about Savard.
No, I agree. I think there's no real rush with Allen. Number one, and Savard, like I said, I would only entertain it if you got a really good deal in return.
Yeah. Nicholas knocked the door. Savard 1-for-1 with Lindgren. Would you do it?
1-for-1 with for who?
Lindgren for the Toronto
Lilligren?
Maple Leaf.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't do it. I would prefer Byron over Lindgren. I prefer Kovacevic over Lindgren.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, where was Lilligren picked? What round?
What?
What round was he selected? Lilligren.
I don't know exactly where he was picked. I think it's a third round pick. But at the end of the day, Mr. Tap, um, you have too
I mean,
many
he
similar
brings.
players for the Montreal Canadiens at the same level. I think I would not trade. If I have to trade, I would not trade for him, Savard. It makes sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
You know.
Um, yeah, it's
Oh no, a first round pick, Mr. Tap, 17 overall.
yeah. That's what I thought. I thought he went in the first round. Yeah, I mean, it's his defense that's been in question a little bit, right? With the Leafs, but I mean, he brings an offensive dimension to the game, and
We never been
I'd,
profit.
con-
You
I'd no, but that could be the system too, right? I mean, there's not much there on that Toronto defense that
know.
is inviting.
I will not. Yeah, Ron with Kings in the house, Mr. Tap. Welcome back, Ron. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes.
Hey,
We appreciate a lot, particularly talk about the fist. Nicholas, first one put, but never reached that level. There you go. I agree with you about that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
apologize. I don't know why I see it third round pick. I did the first I said I did not know, honestly, about that.
yeah.
But again, I will not trade Savard and Jake Adams on top. I would keep both of them.
Who Savard
And
and
Adam.
Allen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no rush. There's no rush for them to do it. I mean, it would have to be something that really was something that he can't say no to.
Yeah. Mr. For
And
You is in the house. Should go at 50% inside at the trade deadline on the best defenseman option. I will take a second for him to lower about this for you because at the end is what he bring on the locker room and outside the zone. Maurice, can Montreal management be honest and tell us if we and a fire sale or not? Trading Monahan was not the right move. Evan thought it was a good trade. Maurice. The problem behind that, Maurice, because Montreal does not want to give him a contract at $5 million at 5 years per million. This is what his request when he talked on the private site. It was out, Mr. Tap, on the Winnipeg newspaper, on the Winnipeg uh, section somewhere. I see this on the, I don't know, remember, it was on the social media about that. For me, the way he requests his new contract, Maurice, it was too much for the Montreal Canadiens overall. On my opinion, I don't know if you had anything else.
yeah, and just in terms of answering the question, can the management tell us if it's a fire sale? I mean, I think they're trying to clear out. I think the writing's on the wall. It is a rebuild. They're trying to clear out some of, the contracts or players that don't fit into their future plans, right? And so I don't think we necessarily need them to come out and say that verbatim. I think the writing's on the wall there that that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Um, yeah, will be interesting what happening the next couple of days. Don't forget that Mayu does not have to bonify his play with that license scandal. It does not help. Well, that would be about Savard's same situation. Maurice, about that. Now, the problem with that, Maurice, is because Savard can run one more year, extra year at 3.5 or $0.4 million. Maurice, that's the reason I go that direction about Savard for that. Monahan, he play a specific role in Montreal, and we know that. But at the end of the day, you have to open spot other players like Joshua Roy and the future Owen Beck and they still have different center with obviously the guy who's going to take his spot next year is could be Doc. And that's the reason they can carry on. They cannot carry on another player at $5 million for 4 years at 30 years old. Plus, some red flag is durability in NHL. How are you going to turn around? He could be turned around with
Oh,
me in Minnesota. That would be great. But I don't know. Montreal is on the situation to give him a 5 years contract at $5 million.
yeah, totally agree. I mean, just the fact that the health is an issue. I mean, it hasn't been this year, knock on wood,
Yeah.
but you just never know. It's hard to come back from the hip injuries, and you can tell he's lost a little bit of speed too to his game. Not that that necessarily deters him, but it does minimize his value a little bit.
Yes, and Maurice, yeah, no, yes, 1 more year, so that's the reason behind that. Next year, you're absolutely right about this. I agree with you. Careless is in the house.
Yeah,
King of Gamer, Mr. Enortap, do you think Pearson or New Hook are on the table for the trade?
yeah. I think Pearson, take whatever you can at this point. Newhook, no, I don't. I don't think so. I think that they're going to give him. They didn't give away two picks, one in the first and early second, just to give Newhook away. Plus, we're short on centerman right now until Doc gets back and Dvorak as well. So I don't see Newhook going, but Pearson, I say any offer you get, take it.
Yeah. It'll be not easy to sell Mr. Enortap Pearson at the trade deadline.
I know. That's why I'm saying anything that they offer you, you take it. Take the future consideration.
Yes, I agree with you about that. Mr. Enortap, we cross the 11 o'clock. We are 12 minutes over. We take a little bit extra. We speak too much
That's
about the
Jacky.
Jacky. But it was a great out seat, Mr. Enortap. And like I said, I know people think I don't like him. I always said to you,
No.
I like him, right? I want the best for Jacky. Jacky better. You know, he remind me, Mr. Enortap, Jacky, Josh Anderson. Like, the kid could become that kind of player. Like Josh Anderson, Mr. Enortap, have everything to become a 30-goal scorer. Big physical, 6'3". He can be a dominator in NHL if he was using every skill. Obviously, his hands are limited. For me, Jacky, he's limited about his hockey sense. And that's my only problem with him about that. Man away. Anderson could be a really solid bottom six player, Mr. Enortap, in NHL for years. Jacky could be a solid third pairing in NHL and for any team in NHL. This is what I see as a ceiling. But if you're thinking I don't like him, not allowed.
Yeah.
You're not.
That's not a question.
Wrong about that. I want the best. I just see what you need to improve. At this point, Mr. Enortap, I will be agree with you. I think a Jacky and Laval right now would be more benefit for his development. I stay in Montreal at 1 minute right now for him.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is you also have to figure out if you're going to bring Hudson and Reinbacher on board, you got to make space somewhere. Who goes down?
Yep. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. That's what he said, Mr. Enortap. You have greatness inside of you. Thank you so much, everybody, to be a part of the show tonight. Another locker room. Mr. Enortap will be back not Sunday night. We'll be back Monday night for the weekly recap because Sunday is the Super Bowl. I'm still debating to do it or not do it, but don't forget this weekend we do a double game. Dallas Star and the Blues for the Montreal Canadiens. I'll be awake at 1 o'clock a.m. I'll be back from the bar. I'll be fine, Mr. Enortap. What a great show, guys. Thanks so much for all the likes. We thank Enortap for his participation tonight. All the moderators, Mr. Luciano Graziano and Ron with Kings. And then finally, Algie Calabro at the news update. People in the chat, amazing. And of course, Mr. Enortap, be well, be healthy. Find a winner, not only dominate your day, find a way to dominate the first half of what?
You're 20, 24,
You did it again. Have an amazing, great night. And remember, Hockey Nation, Ab Nation, we love you, everybody. Have a great night, and Mr. Enortap. See you next Monday.
Good night, Coach. Good night, Hockey Nation.
Booyah!